Hello and welcome to the third in the series of Project Marlin's Light Bites. This video I'm going to cover a quick brief history of this fire truck. If we start with fire trucks in Mitcheldean, who designed this truck, they wanted to modernise their range that they offered at the time. They also wanted to increase the maximum size of the vehicle that they produced at the time. So rather than making a bigger Barracuda, they started with a fresh sheet of paper and they designed the Marlin, which is this truck I'm sat here in. The Marlin is what's referred to as a modular truck, so you could specify the truck how you wanted it. You could add a range of different engine configurations. You could have the basic V12 engine this one has, you could have a V16, you could have two engines, one for the pump, one for driving, you could have different water supplies, you could have small water cannons fitted on the bumper as well as the big one on the roof. It was quite a varied specification you could have on it. Now, this truck was completed in 1989. After it was completed, it was shipped off. I'm not sure before or after its trials, but it was shipped off to a trade show at Birmingham, where it was on the Pride of Fire Truck stand and displayed there. Unfortunately, very shortly after this show, fire trucks got into financial difficulty and the receivers were called in. Now, Boughton Engineering then bought fire trucks and continued making the Marlin range as well as the redesigned Barracuda, which looks very similar to this. It's just not quite as wide and it's got a smaller engine. Now this truck, after she went for trials, which it apparently passed with flying colours, went to Manchester. She was on the run at Manchester for several years, where she was joined by a second truck, J1 CFR, which was built by Boughton's, which was a lesson learned truck. It was one of those trucks. It was redesigned. It was a redesign of this truck with some things to improve it. So it had better access to the engine, better braking, had an exhaust brake. I believe it was slightly more powerful, slightly heavier. There were some small differences, but it was based on the Marlin design. At some point of its life, actually in work, it went from Manchester to Bournemouth. Bournemouth Airport at the time was owned by Manchester Airport Group, also in Manchester. She was used there for a little while, but I don't believe she was particularly well liked by the firefighters at Bournemouth. It's quite a big truck. It's not as manoeuvrable as the smaller trucks because of the size and weight. She's a bit sluggish compared to some of the smaller trucks. And she was there for a few years, and sometime between 2010 and 2014 she was taken out of service. I think she was taken out of service in 2010. She was sold off in 2014 to a gentleman who bought her, and she was taken down to Dorset. She was only in Dorset for a few months, where she was bought by a different gentleman, and she went to Lakenheath, to a machinery company there. They hired her out for fire coverage for several years, and once she deteriorated to the point where they didn't want her anymore doing the fire coverage, she went back to their yard, and she sat there for about 18 months. When I'd been brought up and saw the truck and fell in love with the truck, and I thought it would be such a good idea to buy something in this bad a condition and this big. And last year in November 2019 she was brought here to Wiltshire, and I've been doing little bits and pieces on her since, but we really do need to get into the major work. So that's basically a potted history of this particular truck. It's very brief. I haven't got much more to tell you, and I haven't got much more time to tell you. But if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see some more of these light bites, please click like, please subscribe. If you've got any comments, love to hear them, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.